Dragon's Dogma 2 gives very old school vibes with less handholding and more expectations for its audience to be intuitive. Now, I've played the game for roughly 30 hours, and this is more of a first impressions review rather than a full review on itself. It's easy to compare Dragon's Dogma 2 with other RPGs like Skyrim especially. However, they do a little twist by taking out a lot of the quality of life to give you a more immersive experience. Not having a fast travel immediately available to you at any major location means you have to explore more. You have to actually get away of the land. And even if there is a taxi, it can be interrupted and destroyed on your journey. Plus, time is very important. Quests aren't always available at certain times, forcing you to either wait at a bench, but more times than not, you find yourself doing other things. This game has me playing it in a way that I don't play other games due to all the limitations that it sets before me. Having a set amount of times that I actually can fast travel because it's of use of a resource, on top of needing resources constantly from the open world due to the fact that my food actually expires, means that there's this balance between having to do things in order to play the game and not being able to do things because of the game. This limitation inviting creativity is complemented by the open world. There isn't really a bunch of legendary items you find roaming about. Even with my little exploratory efforts, I talked to other people who spent all their time exploring and doing no quests and never really found a legendary sword that was the best in slot item for their gear. A lot of the times exploring the open world is to level up, to fight creatures and gather resources, which you then use to upgrade your equipment or simply just buy equipment at the vendors. And honestly, I kind of prefer this method more, where you go out into the world, gather resources, and you actually have a reason to spend them. And not only that, but because the food and stuff expires, you're not just saving 37 cheese wheels in your bag only to eat them all whenever the dragon comes to blow flames on you. This means that combat and experiences outside of combat traversing through the land have a more sense of fulfillment. Whenever you do craft those potions and they come in handy to heal you, it matters. On top of that, there is a use of stamina when it comes to your abilities, or even just adding a simple thing that I think all games should add from here on forth. Being able to grab and climb enemies has been one of the best and immersive experiences ever. Being a dungeon master of over 10 years, every new player ever wants to climb on top of the back of a dragon and slice its head off. And you know what? You can do that in Dragon's Dogma 2. And because it requires stamina to climb things, you find yourself in crazy situations where a griffin will take off, send you soaring through the air, only for you to be chugging down stamina potions, making sure for dear life you don't fall, because there is no reloading the game. Everything that happens in the game is final. Yes, you respawn, you come back to life, but if people die, if you fail a quest because you were goofing around on top of a griffin, there is no going back, which adds to the entire immersive experience of the whole situation. Surviving a griffin flight and forcing it to crash land as you slay it for its own body parts, to come back with griffin feathers, that last piece of ingredient you need to upgrade your armor or weapon, makes you see all these different systems coming together and working as one unit. Because this game forces you to have an experience. And where going out into the open world creates your own story, the actual side missions and story themselves offer plenty of rewards, and if not enticing you to do more quests, because some of the best things I've gotten have been from doing those quests. However, there have been moments where I've actually had to look things up. Now, I don't consider this a bad thing. This game gives off very Zelda vibes, where there's puzzles, and the developers definitely expect their audience to be paying attention or being intuitive. Sometimes the instructions are vague, especially when there's only one specific way of accomplishing your task. On top of adding the pressure that you don't get to reload a save if you mess something up, yeah, looking things up ends up being something that I did from time to time. However, because of this no hand holding, I did find myself learning about the game more and more, as if the game is teaching me how to play it. A big, large part of this are the pawns. They're kind of the staple of the entire game. Their whole in-game lore is that they die, travel between worlds, and those other worlds are basically where other players are using them, and then they take those experiences that they have and they help you. So if someone's already done a quest or knows where to find a person who decided to migrate to another village, a pawn may be like, oh yeah, I remember doing this in my other world, let me just show you. So there's kind of this community aspect of things going on, and you feel like you're playing this game with a group of people. But not only that, it also helped me understand what to look out for. So when I was figuring out more elusive quests, I didn't have to go to Google. I didn't have a pawn that knew what was happening, but I was able to discover it on my own. The game somehow trained me and conditioned me in order to solve even harder puzzles by myself, making me feel smarter than I actually am. But it goes to show how much hand-holding is going on in today's industry, and that Dragon's Dogma 2 isn't afraid to be its own thing. And even though I don't like some of the systems, like fast traveling can be kind of inconvenient and a waste of time having to walk from place to place, and on top of not having to be able to load a save makes me feel powerless, there are a lot of other quality of lives, like being able to storage all of my stuff anywhere at any innkeeper's place, and also just not having to carry those crafting items to the blacksmith that the blacksmith just knows, yeah, to pull from my storage. The game is very aware of what it wants and helps guide you on how to play it, and you can't help but have fun with those things. I have to judge this game by its merits, and it has really good merits on its own. Even the story elements are very plot driven. They're not so much character driven, so you don't really get to connect with the characters as much. They usually stand to be just tropes of situations, allowing for a silent protagonist to self-insert themselves, adding to the whole immersion aspect of everything. When you have so many intricate details and designs going on and background systems playing in itself, you can't help but be at awe with what Dragon's Dogma 2 has to offer. Which is why, as of what I've played right now, I gotta give Dragon's Dogma 2 a 9 out of 10. Until next time, guys, play nice. Now, for all I know, the next portion of the game, next 70 hours of the game could be absolute dog trash. So, you know, if you guys get past the 30-hour mark and hate the game, I'm sorry, but I doubt it. It might have just like a banger ending. Maybe there's like just, you know, what I wanted to say was so inappropriate.